Welcome to Flats Nation Sound Bites, where we share tips, tricks, and product information to help you better enjoy our sport and lifestyle. And a big shout out to Brother Dave Fader for the awesome music. You can check out more of Dave's phenomenal work on davidfader.com. This is your host, Dave Legier, and welcome back to Flats Nation Sound Bites. In this volume, we chat and cut up a little with Brother Travis Sands in the Bahamas on his fly selection and presentation aspects that he feels are just as important. He also lets slip out one of his lesser known but favorite fly patterns to also use. So let's talk gear now. So do you tie your own flies? And if you do, what is your favorite pattern and color profile? And I'm going to assume that changes throughout the year like it does here, in Southwest Florida, different prey species, that move through. But what, if you're sitting there behind a vise, what are you going to tie up, and what's the probably the most numerous fly in your box?
Oh man, to tell you the truth, I don't tie flies. I've got into it a little bit, but I don't because I'm a great micromanager. I got a few buddies that are really great tires, like Kyle Schaefer, Bob Cosgrove, and then they tied out Drusha Corner, so was a friend as well, and they tied was that thing. I'll always be like, I'll whisper and Kyle and Bob here all the time, like, hey man, you should put this here, or you should put that there, because like I always like, they create Frankensteins for me, I guess, like whispering there all the time.
Right. So what's your favorite fly patterns then? Let's say I'm going to give you 5 of them.
Yeah.
What's your top 5 that you got in your box for, let's say, year-round fishing where you are right now?
Man, like I'm a mantis shrimp guy. I'm a crab guy.
Are you? Good.
Like basically they all the flies I need for the Bahamas, when it comes to the flats, crab and shrimp. And like there's an occasional worm fly, but not everybody ties worm fly. It's kind of a secret. You don't want to like let the secret out of the bag. But fish love those things. They gobble them up. But there's not a lot of people that tie worms for the flats, surprisingly, But it's like occasionally shrimp and crabs, and the fish love them. You just know how to work for bigger fish. With working a shrimp, it's a different ball game. You can't be doing those jerky short strips. It's a longer, smoother strip. Unless you got to hold the composure, not those. Like they could feel that vibration through that line. So the minute you do a nervous strip or like you pop that fly a little too hard, they're out of there. So more or less changing your attitude with stripping and your approach with like where you're letting your fly land and how hard you let it plop. So it's not too much of like favorite flies, is how you work it,
Yeah, presentation. I get it.
Presentation, baby.
Yeah. Now, do you have over there a Palalo worm hatch like they have in the Keys, or these are just other marine worms that you're seeing in the ecosystem?
There are other marine worms. There's quite a few different marine worms actually, and it's like, I guess everybody have their own hatch time or different times when, they're hatching or mating and they're moving around and fish are feeding on them. So It all depends if you paying attention to the bait they're eating, you will figure out, I guess, which flies is on the flats they're more preferring at that point in time. But with the bonefish and over here and the primate zone was that name, they love, you got a crab, shrimp, or I found that they really love squimps pattern as well, the squids. I guess we have squids here as well, so they love a squid pattern as well.
So now what color are you making that squid fly? Is that more of like a darker purple type color?
Oh man, that squid fly, it's more of a brownish, bluish, you could play with a little orange in it.
Wow.
Squid change color, they're not one color.
True.
Yeah, exactly. Play with a squid pattern, whatever color you want to put in there, because they're already constantly switching colors. And that's why it's fun to play with a squid pattern, because you don't have to actually pick a particular color. You can play with a bunch of different colors.
That's true. Well, it's like shrimp, they pretty much match the bottom color. So you got to kind of have a little bit of range when it comes to a fly shrimp pattern because of the different bottom. It could be dark bottom, could be a lighter bottom. I get it. So now, throughout your season there, and we're probably about parallel to each other. We have a pretty, I wouldn't say radical change in water temperature, but we do have some. I mean, we have a little bit of a winter. Our forage species changes throughout the year. Mostly the mullet, finger mullet and stuff start to leave. So where you're located now, do you have a real wide range in water temperature changes, and does that affect, what flies you're presenting to these fish?
Oh no, we do have the water temperature change in summer. The water get a little hotter, and that changed the fishing a little bit. Between they're on the flat early mornings, midday, high Sunday, they'd kind of leave the flats. They're not so much of them on the flat, so the water get a little warm. But late noons, they kind of roll back onto the flats. But the pattern of fly doesn't change with the water temp like that or nothing like that. I found the fact that it's very rare in the Bahamas that you have to match the hatch or something like that. Not like trout or anything like that. It's they stay feeding on the same thing, but they get a little smart. I think the way you strip or move a fly or how you drop a fly on them. So like I say, it's more or less you're always changing your approach or your stripping technique, or basically more or less in that field, and changing flies.
So you're not making necessarily a fly change, with the tide or anything. It's all about presentation in the minute little things that you're doing with the fly as you're bringing it back towards the skiff when you're working those fish. Then
yes, it's more or less you're never having to switch on a bunch of flies. You'll have your lead eyes or your bead chains, and you basically switching them out for what depth you're fishing in, more or less. And you could have a lead eye or bead chain, shrimp or crab, so it doesn't really vary to just one species. So you could have a really lighter crab or lighter shrimp, and you could basically change that for what depth you're in. I'll say 2 to 3 feet of water, you want a lead eye fly to sink a little quicker, get down a little quicker, and work on the bottom. Right. Or in the sunny water, a couple inches of water, you want a bead chain fly, because it's not going to flop that hard, and it's going to work just right in that shallow water. So it's more or less your approach to your crab, your shrimp, or your worm pattern.
Now you can read more about this topic and view some fly patterns that our awesome fly fishing manager, Brother Christian, makes by simply clicking on the featured fly pattern section near the top of the homepage. And just as a reminder, the newer Flats Nation technical wear, so you don't roast or get eaten up with bugs as much, is now in stock. You can check them out and order them in some great colors to help you blend into the various background sky conditions on our site simply by clicking on the link at the top title bar for our store. Well, we hope you enjoyed our show today and found it both educational and entertaining at the same time. If you or your company would like to join the team on Flats Nation for a podcast or other coverage, feel free to drop us a quick note at info@flatsnation.com. And now, here's the rest of the song to run the skiff back home with. Tight lines and God bless.